Thanks for being here.
Our family.
My husband's the
You want us to bring the chair or you want to sit on here?
Yeah, you can.
Over here. No, I want her over here. I know, you want a chair?
Let's get her a chair.
We got cookie here? Okay. No, do you like to sit here?
Mostly I just need to dish it out.
Are you from?
I'm worried about that.
What is it? Oh, they got it.
Take notes for outside. Immediately, we'll just sit out in the parking lot. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, do it.
Slide in here a couple of times.
Good morning, everyone. I want to thank you all for coming. We have a great crowd. We're trying to bring in that is here to support Senator Heller and his election or bid for our governor to be the great state of Nevada. When you look at it, well, we've seen the failed policy of the last several years. What's important is we have a very successful background, someone who's been able to run and protect Nevadans time and time again. We've seen this in issues where we face difficult times. We had a man literally at the top level we had right now at the Senate, it was our senator, to negotiate some of the most difficult times in America, but more importantly, to bring home what mattered for Nevadans. In difficult times, Senator Heller was always there for us. Difficult times when I'd call him time and time again, constituents who had an issue, had a problem. No matter how small it was, he was always there to answer the call. He was always there to have time to meet with me. And that was important because we had to be able to bring the message back home about what was important to Nevadans. Ladies and gentlemen, these are troubled times for Nevadans. There's no doubt about it, we're facing an uphill battle. Our state is in trouble. Our people are dying for help, literally. We need someone who will be able to take that challenge, who has a successful background, who's been successful in proving the point that he cares about Nevada. Nevada first. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Senator Dean Heller.
Thank you, Chairman. I want to thank you for your help, your support as we move forward on this endeavor. I look forward to working with you, with the state party, with the county party. It's time to bring this party closer together so that we can work and we can change the direction of this state. So thank you very much for being here. I'm Dean Heller, and I'm running for governor of the state of Nevada. Before I get started, though, I'd like to make a few introductions. I'd like to introduce the next First Lady of the state of Nevada, my wife, Lynn. I want to thank also my daughter, her husband, and my grandchildren for being here today. Thank you very much. We have 4 children, 4.5 grandchildren. So we're well on our way. We're well on our way. It's great to be here in Carson City. They say conventional wisdom is you always kick off a campaign Monday at 8 o'clock in the morning. So here we are. Here we are. I want to thank Scott Hone. Scott Hone is chairman of the party here in Carson City. I know he's not here, wasn't able to make it. His wife Lily is here. Thank you for being here. But I want to thank you for hosting here at this event and here at the headquarters. You know, there's one, of course, I want to be here in Carson City because this is where it all started, here at the headquarters, because that's important to me. But also, this used to be a warehouse that I used to work in. When I was 16, 17 years old in high school, it was a waterbed store. The store was across the street, but this was the warehouse. So I worked in this building when I was in high school. So great to be here. There's a few people, other people that I'd like to introduce. We have Leader Titus here with us. Thank you very much for being
I'm
here.
happy to be here.
Thank
Thank you. I'm
you.
gonna come up on the side of your family.
I have PK O'Neill. He is also here. Thank
on,
you.
PK.
PK, thank you so
Come on
much.
up.
Absolutely. Al Kramer, two guys that had my PK's predecessor. Al, thank you also for being here. Saw you earlier. Jim Wheeler, we got him right here. Thank you, out of Douglas County. Maurice White, I saw you in the back over there. Maurice, thank you for taking time for being here on a Monday at 8 o'clock in the morning. Gotta keep emphasizing that, of course. I want to thank Michael McDonald, the chairman of the party, for also being here for the introduction and for his support. So let's go on. Again, I'm Dean Heller, and I'm running for governor of the state of Nevada. You know, after, I will tell you this, after my last race, I thought that I was done with politics. I was okay with it, and my wife was okay with it also. After 37 years of marriage, we thought we'd settle down a little bit, spend more time with the children, and of course, more time with our grandchildren. But then something happened. Something changed. It was called 2020. 2020 happened. Bad politicians started making bad decisions. We had mass lockdowns mandated by this governor. We had violent crime that went through the roof. We had small businesses that were destroyed, rioting throughout our major cities. And I said to my family, enough is enough. We have to do something about this. So we're here today because I believe it's time to fire Steve Sisolak. As governor, Steve Sisolak has put Nevada at the top of every bad list in America, which includes crime rates, unemployment rates, graduation rates, even suicide rates. Under Governor Sisolak, Nevada dreams are being crushed. Under this governor, families are being crushed. And under Governor Sisolak, Nevada workers are being crushed. And after one term on the job, here is what we know. In that one term, if you're a Nevadan, you're less likely to have a job. In his first term, Nevadans are more likely to become a victim of violent crime. And in his first term, Nevada children are less likely to graduate from high school and from college. Is that channel 2?
That's the good channel. Put that one back up there.
Get that back up there. So to me, it comes down to three basic things. Everybody, I don't care who you are and where you came from, everybody wants the same thing. They want good jobs, they want good schools, and they want safe neighborhoods. And today, we are upside down on all three of those. And this has to come to an end. So where does it start? Where does it start? It starts right here today. It begins with no mandates and no lockdowns. You can't create jobs. You can't create jobs when businesses are closed. You can't teach our kids when schools are closed. And because of this governor and his shutdowns of the schools, we have third graders that are now reading at a second grade level. We have fourth graders that are now writing at a third grade level. And we have fifth graders that are now doing math at a fourth grade level. And every junior across this state that is starting high school today has only been in school, in the classroom, for one semester. You're starting your junior year and you've only been in school for one semester? Imagine by the time you become a senior and you're graduating, and without any more lockdowns coming from this governor, you've only had 2.5 years of classroom experience. What does that do for your future? What does that do to your test scores? What does that do to you with your opportunity to get into the college of your choice? Let me repeat this. No mandates and no more lockdowns here in the state of Nevada. So to get the best education here in the state of Nevada, it does start with school choice. It does start with school choice, and parents Teachers and principals have to make the decisions for these children. Let's talk about crime for just a minute. Since 2018, violent crime and murders in Clark County have gone up. Last summer, when our cities were on fire and there was rioting, our governor did nothing. So let me make a promise when it comes in this area, is that when I'm governor, police and first responders will always know who's on their side. And I want to talk a little bit about voting integrity. As a former Secretary of State, I think I know a thing or two about elections. We have made it through our legislature that is controlled by Democrats, made it easier to cheat. Let's be clear, we made it easier to cheat in future elections. They watered down voter ID. They added ballot harvesting. Does anybody know what ballot harvesting is and what it means? We always need to explain these things. That means a stranger comes into your home, asks to fill out your ballot. After he fills out their ballot with you, they take it with them. If they like the result of how you filled out the ballot, they send it to the clerk's office. If they don't, they drop it into the dumpster behind your house. You know, that used to be a felony in this country and in this state. It was a felony for decades. And now with Democrat control, it's called good governance. Also, we have multiple ballots being delivered to the same residence. After the 2016 election, most Democrats thought Hillary Clinton beat President Trump. And after the 2020 election, most Republicans believe President Trump had won that election. This is chaos, and this chaos continues over and over. So let me just tell you this. When I'm governor, you're not going to wonder if elections are fair. You are going to know that elections are fair here in this state. And this is the first thing I'm going to do. When I'm elected governor, my first order of business I will do an executive order requiring voter ID in this state for every election. General, primary, special elections. As a former Secretary of State, I did forensic audits when in fact, I was the first and only Secretary of State ever to do a forensic audit during an election. I'm the first and only Secretary of State ever to remove a county clerk or a registrar of voters. I did it twice because of election fraud. Removed them from office and went and took their place and ran that election for me. To me, elections are serious. This is serious business. If you don't have safe and secure elections, what do we have in this country? What do we have? This is going to change. When I am governor, you are going to have safe and secure elections. I promise you that. So I'll end with this. We have an incredible opportunity before us. Number one, we're going to fire this governor. And number two, we're going to begin rebuilding the state of Nevada. Nevada can again become strong, safe, and prosperous. So join me, join Lynn, and join our family on this journey. Together we'll take this fight to every corner in this state. Just remember, it's all about God, family, and country. And I'm looking forward to seeing all of you out there. May God bless you, and may God bless this great state. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you.
Faustine will be available here for your TV folks, just for logistics. Print, can we do outside?
All right, let me say thank you to a lot of people that I didn't get a chance to say hello to,
Absolutely.
and I'll be right back. Yeah, there are a lot of people standing outside. ID in this state. I want everybody here and everybody everybody in this state to know that when you cast your vote, it counted. And two, that it wasn't watered down because of fraud that occurred somewhere else or changed the result of this election. That is no longer going to occur if I'm governor. I will finish with this. I think there's 3 points, and that is that I don't care who you are, and I don't care where you come from. Everybody wants the same thing. Everybody wants a good job. Everybody wants good schools, and everybody wants good neighborhoods. And right now, we are upside down on all 3 of those with this governor. So join me. Let's fire this governor. Let's get some leadership back into Carson City so that we can move this state in the right direction, so that we can prosper, so that we can take care of our children. Everybody can have a home. That's the difference. That will be the difference. So anyway, thank you very much for being here. Thank you. Go to deanheller.com. Go to deanheller.com. You can learn more, but I need you on this campaign. I need your help. I need your support. Tell your neighbors. All right? Let them know. Thank you, everybody.
As soon as I get a picture with you and Al and Jim, Al, quick, Snell.
Please.
Now, yes, sir.
I'm all over here. Come on in here.
Sam, send me a picture.
Okay, look at me, guys. Look at me. Here you go.
Sure.
Let's start with this.
No, I need to be.
Growing up, we spent every weekend at the track. Every night after racing, we fixed what we busted up. I learned to weld, tune an engine, leave the shop a little bit better than I found it. I learned a little dirt under your nails to be a good thing. And I learned that working people like my dad were the heart of Nevada. But right now in Nevada, working people are getting crushed by this governor. Mask mandates, defunding the police, endless lockdowns. After serving Nevada in the Senate, I thought I was done with politics.
And that was just fine with us.
But look what's happened to Nevada. We have a governor more interested in locking us out of work than putting us back to work. Las Vegas became a sanctuary city. Violent crimes exploding. People who work for a living are scared. And I've had it. I'm sick of seeing abortion clinics open. Churches and schools are closed. My grandkids playing soccer in masks. That's all on Governor Sisolak. We can't go on like this. It's time Nevada had a conservative governor with a lick of common sense. I'm running for governor because Nevada deserves a whole lot better than this guy. I'm Dean Heller.
Kind, experienced, tough, trustworthy, and real. He's got a smile that never quits. But don't let that smile fool you. Dean Heller's tough as nails, and he does what's right. He knows Nevada, both our cities and our rural way of life. Heller's a pro-life conservative. He's been endorsed by the NRA before, and as Secretary of State, led the fight against voter fraud long before it was popular. As governor, he'll lead us again. Racing, ranching, hunting and fishing, his wife, his family, his church, his state, his country. These are his loves. These are what Dean Heller lives to protect. That's a governor.
All right, I hope that kind of sets hope that kind of sets the tone for this campaign and what we're trying to achieve here. The messages that we have, what we're trying to achieve, and try to move this country forward. I think that I'll reiterate that I believe that this reason I'm running is one, I love the state, and of course I love to fight for Nevada families, and we have a governor that's put Nevada at the top of every bad list in America. And we're talking crime rates, graduation rates, unemployment rates. I mean, it has been horrendous for the last 4 years. It's time for all that to come to a change, to time to change that. And that's why I am running for governor for the state of Nevada.
Senator, what did you learn from losing in 2018, and what do you change or plan to change in this upcoming election?
Well, as I said, the reason I'm running is because I want to fight for Nevada. Last election cycle was tough. The last election that I was in, it was tough for me, it was tough for Republicans across the state. But the bottom line is I think conservative values are still important here in the state of Nevada. I think actually conservative values are going to win this election. So I have those values, and I'm going to win this election. I'm looking forward to the fight over the next year or so.
You said most Republicans think that Donald Trump won this past election.
Yeah.
Do you think that election fraud stole the race from Donald Trump?
Well, I will just say this. I will say this. I know who the President of the United States is. I said, but I think our last election was a mess. It was a mess in Nevada, and it was a mess across this country. And that's why, as Secretary of State, I sit back and I watch this. I say, this can't continue to go on. What do we have in this country, especially in the state of Nevada, when nobody trusts the results of their elections? As I said, this is a bipartisan issue. This isn't a partisan issue. If the majority of Democrats believe Hillary Clinton won in 2016, and if the majority of Republicans think that President Trump won in 2020, what do we have? How can you govern under those circumstances? And I will also say this, a statistic that I thought was interesting, that if you don't trust the results of an election, you're 3 times less likely to get the vaccine. If you don't trust your government, you're less likely to get vaccinated. And this is part of the problem. I'm vaccinated. And this is a horrible disease that we have. I will mandate the vaccine, but I will emphasize and I will impress upon my fellow Nevadans that I think it's very important. It's the only way that you're going to fight this disease. But you can't have elections that don't work. And right now, we have elections in Nevada that nobody trusts the results. And I want to change that. And I will do that as governor, as a former Secretary of State.
Senator, you said a couple times that the Democrats don't believe the outcome of the 2016 election. That's not true. I don't know if that's really true. Are you trying to make this a bipartisan case?
This is a bipartisan
Yeah.
issue. And
I mean, the Democrats may not be happy with the result, but I don't think they question it.
No. It went on and on and on. And this is what, and please don't try to avoid this. Democrats believe that Hillary Clinton won the 2000.
In what states?
What's the
Across the
evidence for
country,
that?
across the country.
Yeah.
What's the evidence for that? Is there polling to support that?
You saw it. I mean, across the country, you saw it. After this election cycle, everybody, that there was Russian fraud and everything else. They went on and on and on. That was the key to what they were trying to impeach this president on, which was wrong. By the way, ended up being wrong. But they fought the results of that election, the 2016 election in Congress, tooth and nail.
Senator, you mentioned that you wanted to implement a voter ID law through executive order.
Correct.
Do you have a legal opinion on that?
I want the battle. That's what I want. I want the fight. I realize that it may take some legislation to have it done, but I want the good fight on voter ID. I think every Nevadan has a right to know that when they cast their ballot, or who is casting their ballot, is the person they say
So
they are.
you don't have a legal opinion on that as of right now, but you would like to bring that forward?
Correct.
And do you believe that Biden was elected fairly?
Like I said, I think our last election was chaos. And I'll tell you, I know who the President of the United States is. We're not arguing that. What I am arguing is the process and how we got there. And as Secretary of State, I'm going to take a good look at it. I'm going to make sure that every Nevadan knows that they have a governor that is concerned about the outcome of elections.
Nevada's Secretary of State is a Republican. She's in your party.
Right,
you said it was chaos. So is she wrong when she says there was no fraud
First
in the
of all, I'm
election?
not going to go down that road. But what I will say is that the Democrats in the last legislative session did make it easier to cheat. So it's hard to oversee an election where the Democrats have changed the laws to make it easier to cheat.
She said there was no widespread evidence of cheating whatsoever. She said it was a fair election. Is she wrong?
I'll tell you what, there's a gentleman in the back of the room that would be more than happy to talk to you about that. I'm just telling you that people do not trust the results of elections here in Nevada, and that has to change in order for me to govern.
What would you do differently in terms of the pandemic and getting things back to normal?
Well, first of all, like I said, I have been, first of all, no lockdowns and no mandates. Let's put that first and foremost. There will be no mandates, there will be no lockdowns here in this state. That's what I would do differently. If you want your crime rates to go down, stop locking down this country. If you want graduation rates to go up, stop locking down this state. If you want to continue to move the state into prosperity, you can't be locking it down. I am vaccinated. My family is vaccinated. That's what was best for me. I'll continue to urge my fellow citizens to get vaccinated, but I will never mandate it.
Should private businesses be able to impose mask mandates?
I don't think that as a governor, I should be able to tell a private business, an employer, what to do. But let me make this very clear. You will not see on the door of any convenience store, you will not see the door on any bank, you will not see it on any box store, a message said that you have to wear a mask because it's been mandated by Governor Heller. You will not see that message on that door.
You said in an interview to me at the Basque Fry back in September that there was no one in this race that you could think that could beat Governor Sisolak at this point.
I still feel that way.
Can I ask
That's why I got in this race.
What's the source of that, so to speak?
Me? I have a pretty good feel for elections here in the state of Nevada and understand the politics and the policies and continue to feel that way.
What do you make of the January 6th protesters? If you say the election was so chaotic, was then it justified for them to go and try and make it right on January 6th?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, and I wasn't involved and I wasn't back in Washington, D.C., if you're trying to I do not like what happened in Washington, D.C. I did not like what happened in the Capitol building. I did not want that to occur. I don't have a problem with the protesters. I didn't have a problem with them being in Washington, D.C. and having their voices heard, but they crossed the line when they broke into that Capitol and did what they did. So don't put me in that category of being in favor of what occurred on that day.
How could your experience both on the state and the federal level help you if you are elected to the governorship?
Well, I do believe it does take experience. On day one, you're going to have a governor that's going to start leading the state again. And again, I'm going to lead the state because there will be no mask mandates and there will be no lockdowns. And that's the only way we're going to get this state moving forward. I mean, we had the second highest unemployment in the nation during our lockdown. You want to go back to that lockdown in this state again? That's what this governor would do. This has to stop. So you need leadership. You need someone with that perspective. I ran a Secretary of State's office. Outside the governor's office itself, it was one of the most complicated and largest agencies. I mean, you did securities, you did elections, you did corporations. You go down the list, there are 5 or 6 different units within that. Not comparable to what the governor's office is, trust me, but it was a good foundation. You go back to Washington, D.C., you understand the federal issues. You bring those back to Carson City, and you can work with our delegation of making sure that Nevada is as prosperous and as strong as it can possibly be by working through the delegation and understanding the process in Washington, D.C.
Why would you be the better candidate in the Republican primary other than the people who are already in the race? Why would you?
I'm the only proven conservative in this race.
Uh-huh.
I am the only proven conservative in this race. I think, as far as I'm concerned, Nevadans are tired of watching their children and their grandchildren run around soccer fields with masks on. I mean, if you take a look at our crime rates, if you take a look at in fact, I'll put my conservative credentials on abortion, on crime, on immigration against any candidate in this race. And I am tired of watching abortion clinics be open while we have schools closed and churches closed. There's something inherently wrong about that.
Yeah, you said violent crime and murder have gone up in Clark County since 2018.
Yes.
Is that a governor problem or a sheriff problem?
Well, today we're talking about the governor.
But you're running against
Tomorrow,
the sheriff.
we'll talk about the sheriff.
Okay.
Today it's about Sisolak.
You
Tomorrow it's about Lombard.
You had Trump in your campaign video. When was the last you talked to him? What did you say?
Actually, all that's personal. You know, when I have a conversation with a former president, those conversations are
Was
personal.
it recent?
Yeah. We've had conversations, but
you've had a fraught relationship.
let's go recent. Yeah, recent within the last couple of years. Yes.
You mentioned the Secretary of State's office in your position a few times, stepping in during local elections. What would you have done with Clark County in 2018, and what do you think of the job that Joe Gloria did?
I probably would have done the same thing I did when I was Secretary of State, when we had problems in Washoe County.
Sorry. What does that mean specifically?
I'm the only Secretary of State in the history of this state to remove a registrar of voters for a job that I thought was poorly done.
And you would have done that with Joe Gloria?
And I would have been tempted to do that, yes. I would have petitioned the county commissioners to remove this guy. Here's a guy that says, I'm going to select, I am going to manipulate our machines that will accept 98% of all signatures. Not support signatures that were valid, just 98% of all signatures. Don't you go for the valid ones? I mean, why set a bar? The important thing is that we have valid elections, and I have serious concerns about this registrar. So to answer the question, I would have done the same thing that I would have done in Washoe County when I was Secretary of State, and that is run that election myself and made sure that Nevadans knew that they had a fair, clean election in this state.
Sorry to go back to this again, but you said you wish that people would know that Nevadans had a fair, clean election in this state. So are you saying that the election wasn't fair, or are you just saying that it was plagued with problems? I'm getting.
Yeah. All I'm saying is that the legislature changed the laws. They changed the laws and made it easier to cheat. That's what they did. They made it easier to cheat. Ballot harvesting. Ballot harvesting, and I explained what ballot harvesting is. Let a stranger come into your home, help you fill out your ballot, walk out the door with that ballot, decide whether they like your answers.
Isn't that still legal, though? Isn't that still illegal to throw away someone's ballot?
Well, that's the whole point. That's the whole point. So some stranger's taking your ballot and taking it to the clerk's office, and if they don't take it there, and that's the questions that are coming from this.
Is there anything you could do about ballot harvesting as governor, though? I don't understand.
Yeah. How about making it a felony again? How about making it a felony?
Via executive order?
I was the Secretary of State that put the law in place with Chris Giuliani back in the 90s, because even a liberal Democrat knew that was subject to voter fraud. So we put it in place. We made it a felony. It was a felony for decades. Now, according to this legislature, this Democrat-controlled legislature, it's now good government.
If President Trump were to come out to Nevada and want to campaign, would you campaign with him?
I would support, I would welcome his support to my campaign.
What would you do with the $3+ billion in coronavirus relief money that's been earmarked for Nevada?
And whether it's used or not?
Well, no, what would you use it for?
Well, first of all, expanded the expanded welfare benefits, unemployment benefits, was the purpose of that. That's what I would have used it for. But once we get to a point, like other Republican governors, that it's no longer useful, I would return the rest of it back to the Treasury. We've got a debt problem in this country, and to spend this money on things that aren't relevant to the purpose and the occasion, that money needs to be sent back to the Treasury so that we can do everything we possibly can to reduce the debt in this country.
You mentioned the executive order on voter ID. Name a couple of other things that you would want to do first if elected.
Well, number one, no mandates and no lockdowns. That's number one. Number two, voter integrity. Two, support the Second Amendment. Three, support the right to life. Those are the issues that I think are most important to me and will be important as I go forward in this campaign.
Would you support, say, a 6-week abortion ban that has been implemented in Texas?
I like what Texas did. As governor, I'll get the most conservative abortion laws that we can have in this state, regardless with who's controlling the legislature at the time.
Would you veto the 3D printed gun ban?
No, I don't think so. I support the Second Amendment. I don't want to water it down.
So you would veto that ban?
Yes, I'm sorry if I misunderstood the question, but yes, I would.
You talked about police, supporting the police.
Yes.
What does that look like to you? Do you feel like the governor has defunded the police? What, when you mention that, what are you thinking about?
I'm going to have more information on that in the next couple of days. So I'd rather wait on that answer, but you will get an answer to that question in the next couple of days.
Since we're talking about some other states, how do you think about the response of Governor Abbott and Governor DeSantis in Florida and Texas to the COVID crisis? Have they handled it the right way?
I'm a big fan of both DeSantis and Abbott, and they're going to run their state the way they want to, and I'm going to run our state the way I want to. I support, as I said, no mandates and no lockdowns, and I will govern that way as
So,
governor of the
but
state.
sorry to be specific, but
Yeah.
would you do the same kind of approach that, say, Governor DeSantis did in that state? Would you implement that kind of approach here?
I'd take a look at what he has done. I like DeSantis, and I do like his approach. So yes, I will take a very close look at it. But I just want to reassure and reemphasize that I will not have mandates, nor will I have lockdowns in this state.
Folks, we have time for just a couple more.
What's the biggest thing you gotta do to win this race?
Work hard. Yeah, work hard. It is going to be a lot of work. I'm glad I'm back into the middle of all this. I'll go from corner to corner, go from state to state. You saw the crowd we had out here. It's not often that you have an announcement of candidacy for governor like this on a Monday morning at 8 a.m. and we had a good crowd out there. This will be a groundswell. It really will, and you can tell by the crowd that was out here today. So I'm looking forward to this, but it's going to be a lot of work. Get out there, get the message out there, let people understand, especially in this primary, that I'm the only proven conservative in this race, and that I'm tired of seeing masks on children. I'm tired of seeing abortion clinics that are open while churches and schools are closed. That's the message that we're going to have out there. That's the message that's going to win this election. I believe conservative values. I believe conservative values win this race, and I have them, and I'm going to be the next governor of the state.
How do you plan to navigate the landscape of the Republican Party or Republican primary to June?
Explain that question.
Well, what's your route to victory in the Republican primary?
I think I just explained it. I think the most conservative candidate, the conservative values are going to win this race, and I am the only proven conservative in this race. And I'm going to get that message out. I will put my background and my conservative positions on abortion, on immigration, on crime, the fact that I put conservative judges when I was in Washington, D.C. in place, the fact that I passed and helped write the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act when I was back in Washington, D.C., the fact that I was the only member of our delegation that didn't vote for the Wall Street bailout when I was in Washington. These are conservative values that are going to continue to resonate, and that's the route. That's the route to move forward.
And you don't think the party's gone too far to the right or gone a little to the extreme in the last couple of years since you've left?
Well, I think both parties are splintered, and my job is to bring the Republican Party back together. And I think I have the message that we'll bring the Republican Party back together.
Thanks, the Affordable Care Act should be repealed and replaced with a different health care law?
Now you're talking federal issues. I don't think I'll
Sure, but when you were last in the Senate, it was a high profile issue.
I supported a repeal and a replacement, yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.
If you need anything, and you don't have my card, let me know.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for what you need.
Thanks, Senator.
It's good to see you guys.
I see you. We were filming that out there at your house, huh? I had good intel. Yeah. That's a good ad.
Thanks, Mike.
Take care, guys. It should be.
To make sure.
Morning, this is Don Dyke-Newcomb here in Carson City, Nevada, where former United States Senator and Nevada Secretary of State Dean Heller has just announced that he's running for governor today. The announcement was made here at the Carson City Republican Party Central Committee headquarters, where he briefly gave remarks for a bit, and then came out to the crowd to say hi to well-wishers and supporters, and then came back in to take questions from members of the media for about nearly 20 minutes. Thus concludes my quick and brief report here in Carson City this morning. This is Don Dyke-Newcomb saying good morning and take care.